Good afternoon to all of you. Though this session is going to be right before the lunch session, but my personal view is that food for thought is more important sometimes than food for abdomen, right? Uh, so you can bear with me. I'm Sanjeev, I'm Sanjeev Kumar Jha, editor, entrepreneur, media and opportunity India. And this session has fascinated me since long because we know what startups are doing, what they have done in many other sectors in past. We have dozens of unicorn startups now, and India is the third largest startup ecosystem in the world, if I'm not wrong. You people may correct me whenever I'm wrong, because I'm the least informed people here in this hall, I believe so. Many of times, I might have to say something, and you people are all those who have something to say, and that makes a difference. And this is why I'm here, to know that difference and to know what startup. So let's start from Dinesh. I would like to start from you. Just tell me about what your organization, what your company is doing for our audience, and how your company is making difference in EV sector in India. But before that, I would like to request all of you during question answer session, please please introduce yourself first. Keep your question concise and pointed. Thank you. So to start from Dinesh.
Yeah, thank you. So I'm Dinesh. I'm the CEO and co-founder at Rapti. We're an electric motorcycle company. We're the world's only motorcycle company that runs on, that builds high voltage drivetrains for motorcycles. So we operate on 200 volts and above, 200 volt DC and above for electric two-wheelers.
So how do you think Rapti is changing the EV ecosystem? What's your contribution in EV ecosystem? How do you look at startups changing the EV ecosystem? That's my question.
Sure. No, so I think the reason that I believe startups are important for the EV ecosystem is very simple, right? See, there is whenever there's a new technology that comes out, there needs to be players who can really bring out. Again, there's not going to be one single winner or a couple of winners in any field. There's going to be new technologies that come up, and then after a couple of years, adoption and then consolidation, right? So that's where I believe startups play a really important role, where you need more players to bring out very innovative ideas, and not all of them might even win or might even survive, but it's important to kind of try out as many different ideas or as many different innovative thought processes as possible, and that's where I believe startups play a very important role.
Exactly. I would like to come to Sandeep. Sandeep, please tell our audience what your company is exactly doing, and then we'll take it forward.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Sandeep. I'm the co-founder and CEO of BeLive. We are an electric mobility platform offering EVs on leasing and rentals for last mile delivery purpose. Our job is to make EVs very, very affordable and accessible for this massive last mile delivery market by bringing the entire EV ecosystem onto one platform. So that is what we do.
Thank you. Thank you. I would like to come to Mr. Abhay. Sir, your initial comment on how startups are changing EV ecosystem in India and what your organization does.
Hi, good afternoon. My name is Abhaydeep. I'm from Quantic Metadata. It's a startup company and working in a startup environment. In fact, EV is a startup. So we work more on customer side, where we want to focus the OEMs in manufacturing and creating great products. We take care of customers. We're taking care of customers in the sense we provide DMS for the OEMs to run the company. We provide them CRM to take care of their customers. We provide them value-added services like assurance, insurance, extended warranty, and multiple other products, so that OEMs can focus only on creating products and attending the needs of the market, whereas we take care of the back-end part.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Gaurav. Can I start with you on the same question that what your organization does, what you do in EV ecosystem, and how do you see the startups changing EV ecosystem in India? Please.
Yeah, sure. Thank you. My name is Gaurav, and I work at a company called eMotorrad. We are a Pune-based 4-year-old startup, I would say, and we manufacture electric bicycles. So we are into, I would say, micro mobility. Uh, Somebody was telling in a previous session that ICE vehicles or even in fact EVs cost somewhere between 1.5 rupees per kilometer to 12 rupees a kilometer. So we operate in a space where you can actually complete your commute in less than 10 paisa a kilometer. So and it's an unregistered vehicle, very safe to ride. Uh, Coming to the question part, how startups play a role in EV ecosystem. So I come back from traditional automotive background, having worked with Tata, Maruti, cars and two-wheelers industry, where I've seen long development cycles of 4 years, 5 years, 3 years. So in EV, since I've worked with Ola and pretty others, so the trend that I'm seeing here is that development cycles have shortened. So you can't survive with a 4-year-old development cycles, and especially with the thing that the customer needs are still evolving. It's a nascent market, so you have to reiterate your product plans. You have to change your spec. You have to recalibrate your feature list. So development timelines have shortened, where you need to bring the product out in less than a year, and for to achieve that you have to do something called concurrent engineering. So startups are doing that without concurrent engineering, without all the different teams working simultaneously on different aspects of the project. You can't finish the product in a year's time. So startups are doing their bit. It's still the beginning. We have to reiterate, recalibrate a lot to do the right product market fit at the launch time. Yeah.
Thank you. Thanks so much. So, Mr. Fernandez, I know you're in a product segment which is little too interesting, and it's very early stage, and this is vast segment. But for our audience, can you please tell us what your organization does, and how do you see our this startup ecosystem changing the landscape on Indian EV ecosystem? Please.
Yeah. I'm the founder of Surya EV. We are focused on last mile mobility. Ours would be the first purpose-built electric vehicle for passenger fleet segment. So the way we are changing the industry is that instead of converting conventional vehicles into electric vehicles, we would be the first born electric purpose-built fleet vehicle. The fleet segment have their own challenges, and with our purpose-built vehicle, we are able to solve most of the challenges that fleets have using electric vehicles.
Thank you. Thank you so much. So, getting back to Mr. Dinesh. Now, I would like to come to the main question of this segment, that electric vehicle, the startup ecosystem, startups in any of the segment have some similar problems like EV startups. We have problems in financing, problems in supply chain and all. So do you think what is the that particular problem area with EV startups that no other startup segment is having? Do you see any kind of such issue with the EV startups in India?
No, like you rightly mentioned, right? Like every different industry has its own set of problems. Let me talk about something that's very unique to EV OEMs, right? The minute I say EV OEM again, people start looking down and saying, okay, there are a couple hundred players out there just integrating parts, right? And that's kind of the first obstacle that we need to cross and say, no, we're not just a vehicle integrator. We're not just buying components, assembling them together and making a vehicle. We're really innovating on drivetrain tech, on powertrain tech, and how these vehicles fundamentally work, right? That's obviously one of the first challenges that's become a result of the number of players in the market today. But more importantly, being an EV OEM means working with tier ones. There are some components, some subcomponents that where there are very little players. It's either a monopoly or a duopoly when it comes to some of these subcomponents. And for you to kind of being a very small player, to get them to actually work with you is sometimes can become very, very, very difficult.
Okay, so you say that in Rapti you don't see financing a big issue or like that?
I think financing is an issue, nevertheless, for any startup, right? Like whether I'm not sure if you're talking about fundraising for the company or for financing for the product itself.
Availability of financing, that's what I'm talking about.
For the product.
Availability of financing for your organization, for any startup in EV ecosystem.
No, see,
how do you, get into that?
So I think fundraising as a topic
No,
for
let me keep it in other way. People say that if your product is right, financing is not an issue. Is that right, or there's something in between?
No, so I mean, I think I partially agree with that. The problem with that is, again, in our context, with the number of players that are there in the EV OEM space, it becomes very difficult for one to convince the person on the other side on how you're really different and what you're really doing, right? And with the first point that I started, right, there's so many players bringing out so many innovative new technologies to the market, and nobody really knows which one's going to survive, which one's going to stand the test of time. And that's kind of the problem. But I think this is an issue with any industry, nevertheless, right? It doesn't matter whether it's an EV startup. So that's the reason that I didn't bring up fundraising or financing as being a big problem, because that's my job as CEO, for me to go around, sell what we're doing and raise money. And I think we've been fairly successful at that so far. So maybe that's why.
Because yesterday I was speaking with a couple of investors over here, and they told that now things are getting more specific. Now startups are coming up with solid plans, and this is good for the industry. And now we can pick and choose that this is going to be a success, this is not going to be. So now things are getting better in that way. That if the product is right, then still I believe the industry has that particular funding companies and all that, they can generate fund, they can have fund. So I would like to come on to now Mr. Sandeep.
Yeah.
In BeLive, how do you see that? Now I would come to another part, that the government part and financing is also part of that. So how do you see governments making startups easier in their, rules, regulations? Do you think that on that part governments need to do more and more? And where do you see at present?
Well, the government has a very crucial role when it's a evolving category, an evolving industry. You look at how China, how US, how some of the European markets have evolved, right? In the EV industry, there is like a cat and mouse game, what comes first, the charging or the brands, right? The OEMs. There is a certain problem that for example, China, which is the pioneer in EVs, I would say,
Right.
They have solved it in a way. They have first deployed, they've taken a call that the government will go and set up and help facilitate set up charging. So that takes care of range anxiety, that takes care of the infrastructure issues, and then the industry follows. In India also, the government came up with FAME subsidies, right? Any new industry, any nascent industry requires certain boost to be given. So they have incentivized, but then I feel that there's a lot more that can be done, right? The FAME 1, FAME 2, now the FAME 2 has gone away. There's another temporary provision that has been made. There's a FAME 3. What it does is it creates a lot of uncertainty in the minds of the consumers. Suddenly the prices go up because the subsidy comes down. That reduces the kind of demand that is there for the product, for the category, right? So there is a lot more that the government can do to drive the fundamental problems of setting up the basic infrastructure for charging, giving the right kind of subsidies and incentives for a nascent industry to grow, right? And on the other side, I would say the most successful side has been where the government has created this basic startup ecosystem where a lot of clean energy based companies can actually use incubators, startup funds, seed funds, which I think has been quite successful, right? So that's the government has a very important role to play in the next, I would say, decade for India to become a very clean, energy-oriented, mobility market.
Yes, but then the question is that if the industry is taking best out of the government efforts or not?
Obviously, the industry will latch on to whatever benefits come. But at the same time, you would have heard that when the FAME subsidies came in,
Yes.
there were a lot of discrepancies which happened. And we have to
That's
be
exactly
very
what I wanted to ask from you.
we have to be wary of these things. So now the government is also pulled back a lot of subsidies and benefits because of certain violations that were created, right? So in any new category, any nascent category, there has to be support as well as vigilance so that none of these benefits are misused, which did happen. But I hope that as we mature as a category, right, all the processes will also come in and we'll see more and more proper utilization of the benefits coming.
Thank you. So, Abhay sir, I would like to ask from you that AI is changing almost everything, including itself. AI is changing almost all the sectors across the world, including itself, I believe. So, how do you think AI is going to change? How much it will change the EV ecosystem in two-wheelers, three-wheelers, four-wheelers, all?
Yeah, I think AI is the future, and we do a lot of assistance solutions to many of the OEMs. So we found out that earlier, 2 years back, there were a lot of break-ins happening in the two-wheeler segment, EV two-wheeler segments. Then we analyzed the data. We found that 60% is happening because of battery draining away. So is there any software? Why it is happening? So is there any software how we can gauge the quality of the battery or under which is conditions that is getting charged? And there are also we asked OEM to localize because many times what happens, say example flat a tire is getting burst or a flat tire is happening. You have many sensors in the EVs in some of the models. I cannot send my roadside assistance partners to go and change the tire because there are a lot of sensors there. So we need to localize as per the Indian conditions. So these are the two things which we did a lot of analysis. We conveyed to the OEM. OEM has made some changes and things are moving in a better direction. So AI is going to feature a lot of the vehicles which are coming now is coming with the chips where I can analyze the driving pattern. I can analyze based on that the insurance can be given. The battery conditions, the motor condition, everything is all the information is available on the chips. So we can have analyzed the data and make it much more compatible to Indian condition because India itself is a huge market. And it's geographically so widespread. It's a hilly region. Then there is it's from north to east or west to south. North to south or east to west. You find there's a huge geographical conditions. Somewhere it's very hot, somewhere it's very cold. So AI will definitely help us to analyze the data given by the vehicle and suggest the localized solutions to those for that geography particularly.
So, what are the key areas you believe OEMs should be applying AI to? What are the 2-3 key areas? Because I believe that you can't use AI in everything, everywhere. You want to use, but I guess you can't use AI in everything if you don't use it, your physical intelligence also. So what are the key 2, 3, 4, 5 areas where you think OEM should use AI aggressively?
See, I'll leave apart the OEM side of the story of usage of AI. I'll talk about the customer part. So here what happens, many of the startups, OEMs, they are smaller in size. They have got dealerships, but volume is not that compared to IC engines. So how to and each of the dealerships, there is some cost to run the dealerships. How to optimize that cost, how to make it much more profitable for them, there AI comes into play. So there we can help out to create models, to create child spare parts, to do some, for assistance, we can have some parts available where the partner can go and change on the spot itself. So those many things, the data will come from the vehicle, and that we can analyze, and that as a backup we can keep, so that the customer journey or customer experience is much better.
Thank you. Gaurav, I would like to know from you. You are more into bicycles, right?
Sorry?
You are more into bicycles.
Yes.
Okay. And it's on lighter note said that bicycles holders are the least contributors to the economy. They don't purchase insurance. They don't go to doctors and all. So on lighter part. But on serious note, how do you think that in your particular segment in bicycle, you make it on EV? How do you make it? I mean, how much it should be took as an EV and other form of bicycle?
Right. So, electric bicycle is, currently standing at around $40 billion market globally.
Right.
And where we see is that by 2029, 2030, it is heading towards a $100 billion market. In Europe alone, it's $18 billion. So in Europe, people prefer going on electric bicycles to their grocery marts, or, to even there are family bikes where they take kids along, or there are cargo e-bikes. So in India, e-bike category has just begun. I would say we have taken a birth right now. So if you remember, in older times, people used to have push bikes without any gears. In last 10-15 years, we have seen even teenagers going for gear-driven bikes. So gradually, we believe people who own geared bikes will also graduate to electric bikes, because the world is moving toward convenience. So we target in teenager category, the college goers and office goers category, and also the leisure category. So category has just begun, and it's limitless. We are experimenting with a lot of form factors, and we are also developing, connected platform in e-bike, where all the data go to cloud and you maintain digital twins. So there is a bright future, and the good part is there is not much competition yet, and margins are good. Yes.
Okay. So I think you are among the companies who need to deal with the smaller towns, villages, governments, because in a country where I usually used to say that हमारे यहाँ we all at least some people know Hindi. Should I say something in Hindi? Okay. So I personally say, मेरा अपना ये मानना है कि हिंदुस्तान में बहुत सारे पार्ट्स ऐसे हैं जहाँ साइकिल इसलिए सक्सेसफुल नहीं है क्योंकि फुटपाथ पर लोग चलते नहीं पलते हैं, right?
Yeah.
So this is a big, big situation over here that we don't have a particular proper cycle track. Okay. So how do you deal with these kind of problem? You collaborate with the governments, you push them to have them right. And so how do you take this as a challenge?
You rightly said that definitely there is a safety concern here because in India people respect cyclists a little less. So yeah, so as a company we are trying to bring in a lot of features like indicators, real tail lights. So those features you are going to see getting added into product in coming times. Regarding collaboration with governments, we are targeting universities, big college campuses, corporate complex, like geo complex, and smart cities are coming up. So we see a lot of safe places also there for e-bike to be used as a product, and the speed is also less, so it is under 25 kmph. Uh, Safety concern is there, but if you use proper safety gears and proper roads, there's no issue with that.
Okay. Mr. Fernandez, you're into commercial operation, commercial vehicles. So how do you say government support? So how do you see government supporting this particular segment? What are the key challenges for startups, this segment startups in India? How do you look at it?
So I don't think there is an issue with gaining support from the government. Most of the governments today reduce their air pollution, so they are kind of insisting on the fleet operators to switch to electric vehicles. So there is a big demand for electric vehicles, especially passenger fleet vehicles. But there are no appropriate vehicles out there in the market. Of course, it's a big challenge trying to build a vehicle that can suit the needs of the fleet operator, because the needs are very unique. The needs of the passenger vehicle segment is quite different from the needs of the fleet segment. It has taken us more than 7 years to kind of build a purpose-built vehicle for the fleet segment, solving the charging downtime. Unlike ICE vehicles, where charging downtime is not an issue, fleet vehicles, because there is a charging downtime, it disrupts the business.
Okay.
Though there is a lot of demand, I think getting the right vehicle into the market, I think that's the biggest challenge. In China, most of the fleet vehicles today, especially the taxis, have a full swappable battery. And the government is supporting the swappable battery infrastructure. Of course, in India, we have our own challenges. So we are coming out with a very unique vehicle architecture where we have a fixed battery and we have a swappable battery that charges the fixed battery. So we are offering multiple charging options so that there is no charging disruption for an operator. Coming back to your support from the government, I think from a demand side, there's no challenges. But I think from a supply side, bringing in innovative products into the market, I think getting the vehicle homologated, getting it certified, with all the innovations that we try to bring into the market, I foresee maybe there are some challenges over there.
Okay. So if I may ask, how many products are you going to launch, if I want to know, this particular year and or a year down the line? And what are your key markets, target markets, target states?
Yeah, so we
in India and if abroad?
Yeah, so we are focused on the ride sharing, the ride hailing, basically the shared mobility. We are not looking at personal mobility. So when you look at fleet operators, we have also been getting a lot of demand from employee fleet operators. Large corporates want to reduce their carbon footprint. So they are trying to get their operators to switch to electric vehicles. Our markets are basically, the ride-hailing, ride-sharing, employee transport, shuttle services. Those are the segments that we are looking at. We have got good inquiries for our product. We are, even before launching in the market, we have inquiries for 1,000 units, not just from India, but also from global markets. So what we see is that there is a big demand. The demand is about 12,000 units for the passenger fleet segment, but there are no manufacturers focused on it.
So, Gaurav, yes, I would like to continue on the almost last segment of the session, which is key challenges that I started with. That this sector has some specific challenges that no other sector has. Can you figure it out? And what are the solutions you think that's more important? What according to the other solutions?
You're talking about e-cycles?
Yes, in your particular segment.
Yeah, so Of course, the biggest challenge in e-cycles is the adoption.
If I want to start a business, I mean, I want
as
to
a
try to
business-
your competitor. I want to be your competitor. So, what's your advice to me?
I would not advise anything to you.
No, but
Okay, so I would say that e-cycle is relatively an easier setup to start with because number of components are less. Product development is not a problem here because your BOM list is smaller in size, so you have battery, motor, small display, and wiring harness, and then rest of the normal cycle. So, what matters more here is the cost that you achieve because unless you develop your own components, you won't break pricing, and then supply chain. So, currently in e-cycle industry, most of the players are still dependent on China supply chain. At eMotorrad, this is something which we have done differently, where we are developing and producing all the proprietary parts in-house, and we are soon coming up with Gigafactory inauguration in August, where our volumes will eventually grow to 3 million a year in 3 years. So you can. I think there are already 50 plus e-cycle manufacturers in India, so that's not a problem. So I was reading a sign that if you want to take a dealership, you just need to spend 3.5 lakhs. So somebody is offering a dealership of e-cycle at 3.5 lakhs outside in this hall itself. So
Yes.
it's easy. You are most welcome. So industries, I mean, the volumes are quite huge, and we encourage competition. So yeah.
So actually, when any industry is growing now, everyone wants to be on that bandwagon. So that's also creates a little challenge. Though I don't want to compete with any AI, I'm not capable of. But I would like to know from you something that you think that startups in EV sector particularly are facing with the challenges that no other segment is facing, and their solutions.
I believe that startups, and in any startup, be in any industry, has to face certain barriers, certain challenges. So with this, EV is also going through the same phase. Over a period of time, it will stabilize, and maybe the way with the usage of AI, the software, many things are happening. The battery technology. Maybe we can see a day where it's a self-driving two-wheeler.
Right.
It's a possibility.
Right.
So, and technologies, if you see the development of technology, adoption of technology in India is very, very fast. So many, 150 billion people, and then everybody is aspiring to do something new or other. So things will move very fast, and hopefully in couple of years, entire thing will stabilize. And with so much of, people are looking at India for AI. So much of trained manpower. We need to train people for EV segment. That is one area I think the government or the industry should look at. If that happens in next 3 to 4 years, I think we'll be much better. The penetration will be much higher compared to any other country.
Mr. Sandeep, your take on that. The question is same. I'm trying to find out the answer. That what this particular EV segment has, EV startups have the problems that no other segment has. If you can figure out.
What I'll do is I'll sort of take a point from what you were asking Gaurav.
Yeah.
Right? See, you don't need to necessarily become a manufacturer to become an entrepreneur, right, in the EV industry. For example, we BeLive as a platform, offer franchisees, right? We are creating micro entrepreneurs who own a fleet of electric vehicles which are deployed for last mile delivery. Now, we are creating micro entrepreneurs who are just taking a franchisee, and we are connecting them with the ecosystem so that they can earn from day one very high ROIs. They can deploy the fleet of EVs, two-wheelers largely, for all the lakhs of Swiggy, Zomato, Amazon, Flipkart, Zepto, Blinkit, all their delivery agents, they're looking for vehicles which they can take on rent. And we, for example, work with the likes of Electrics, TVS iQubes, Aethers, Bajaj, Olas, and provide their vehicles on a lease to all these micro entrepreneurs so that they can give it out on rent to all the last mile delivery. And we have created a franchisee model out of it. Now, all India, we are creating franchisees, and anyone who is interested in becoming an entrepreneur need not invest crores and become a big manufacturer, can actually become a franchisee owner of last mile mobility. Right? We are getting into three-wheelers. So you can own a fleet of three-wheelers and give it out on rent for last mile mobility. I think these are easier ways of someone who wants to become part of the EV ecosystem and wants to become an entrepreneur to start up and then grow.
Thank you. I got a part of that. Now, yes, I want to know from you your take on that.
Yeah.
Final, yeah.
I think there were like a couple different, tangential ideas from each one of them. Maybe I'll try to take something a little bit more fundamental from where what we're doing, right? See, in any one of the sectors that we're in, right, each one of us, there are easily a couple hundred or maybe 10, 20, 30 players in this market. Specific to us, right, when I started the conversation, I said there are a few hundred players in the EV OEM space who all claim to do the same thing, right? Who all claim to make electric scooters, electric vehicles, electric motorcycles, right? It's very important for us to kind of understand what each one of us bring to the table, not only for the survival of that specific company, but but because of, just essentially what this discussion has been about. What are we bringing to the table? What is the result? What is the impact of that individual organization to the entire industry? Right. What we believe is we make so many components. We just to give you a scale of idea of what we build in house. We make about 22 PCBs that go into each motorcycle in house. So we believe that we're making some real impact, bringing technology to India, building it from India for the Indian audience. Right. So I think that is what is more important. Not just starting up another company, but also understanding what impact you're making for the country.
Thank you. Thanks a lot. Can anyone have any question from any of our panelists? No one? Was I so intelligent that I satisfied everyone? I don't think so. Anyway, so finally, I would start this. I want to know from about this AI again. I'm a little fascinated with this topic. Your final take on how EV industry in India, how this startup, that everyone, I told that when there is this new section, there's something new coming in, everyone wants to be into that. So what you say to those who just want to be in EV sector? That they're seeing that this sector is booming, so I should take something out of that. Do you think those players should stay out of the sector, or you want to get them in so that they build a market?
See, if you look at the penetration of EV in India is just 0.5%. There's enough opportunity for everybody and many players to come in and do many things, they can create and come in with many changes, many development, many new products. So there is compared to, say, example, China, now it's 16% penetration of total automobile market. So we are at a very, very nascent stage. And as told by many of the panelists, many of the parts, many of the things which we import from outside, we need to make it local. And how to make it local, how it is going to be effective, there the AI plays a bigger role. What is the customer expectation? There AI plays a bigger role. So India is a huge market, 0.5% penetration. We have just started a journey, and with the help of AI, many things can be done, right from product manufacturing to designing to taking care of charging stations, and all this in data can also help government to formulate regulations. It can also help financiers to do financing for the OEMs as well as the customers. Then then comes customer service. There are also a lot many data which OEM can get the data and actually design product, create service aspect, so that which is very particular to that product, and it becomes one of the benchmark in the industry. So there is a huge opportunity everywhere, provided if you get the data, if you get the right kind of data, and OEM also if they store the data in the right format. If they store data in the right format, you can get we can do create lot many models and suggest lot many solutions to increase their productivity.
Gaurav, your last comment on what not to do if you want to come into EV sector? What not to do?
What not to do if
Yeah,
you want
what to do? There are so many things. What not to do?
You're posing all the tough questions to me.
Yes, of course. Yeah.
Okay, so I would say if you are not agile and if you are not okay for too much of experimentation, then don't enter EV. Yeah, so that's the first thing. So you have to be agile and you have to be experimentative. And other thing is the product market fit is still a thing that is not solved yet in most of the categories in EV. So PMF is yet to be established.
Okay. Mr. Sandeep, can we share the problem of Gaurav with us? Can you? Yeah. Can we share that? Can your take on that?
What not to do?
We deburden Mr. Gaurav with that question. Yeah.
So I'll say a couple of things. First is don't be too asset heavy.
Okay.
Right? If you're getting into business, unless you have got very deep pockets and you've got a soft bank sitting behind you, right?
Yeah.
Don't become too asset heavy, right? Second thing is, if you are entering, ensure you have a runway of 5 years.
Great.
Right? A lot of companies which are just trying to do, trying to assemble and trying to do a short term will perish. Right? Those who are investing in R&D are the ones who are going to survive.
Like
right?
we have seen in the smartphone market, right?
Sorry?
Like we have seen in the smartphone market.
Absolutely. I mean, even in the smartphone market, and I am ex-Nokia, right? So I have spent a decade working with Nokia, and I've seen Nokia at 90% and Nokia at 1%. Right? So there is, it's uncanny, the kind of similarity that is there between the smartphone market and the EV industry. Actually, EVs is nothing but a smart device on wheels. It is not a out and out, automobile product. Much fewer components, much fewer, setup costs, etc. It's more of a tech product than, an automobile product, right?
Okay.
And and just like the evolution happened in smartphones, there were these lavas and lemons and mangoes and tangos in smartphones. There are more than 200 plus EV OEMs in the country right now. But do you think in the next 5 years there'll be 200? They won't.
I'm not sure. My personal view is that, as I told that, I'm not sure. But I take it like that as smartphone market, small players, they just gave that market a boom. There was a market, and every other hand had a smartphone due to those small players.
Correct.
Like this in EV sector also, there are so many small players, and they are just helping the industry to grow. Okay.
Gaurav spoke about PMF, right? What's your value proposition? You have to, sort of nail that down. In the smartphone market, if we continue the comparison, there were segmentations. Some were catering to somebody who's a farmer or a poor man, right? With a long-lasting 10-day battery. Now that was his value proposition. And someone catering to a college student who wants 100 apps, right? The EV industry is yet to arrive at different use cases and different product market fits, right? Like these guys are creating a fantastic motorcycle, right? Which might be at 2.5 lakh plus. That will cater to a particular need of a customer.
Yes.
Whereas there might be a scooter which is at less than 1 lakh, which might cater to the delivery agent. So there might be different categories of products, but it will cater to different needs and different use cases of the consumers.
Thank you. So Dinesh, your last take on that?
Can you repeat the question, please?
Okay.
No.
So, my only question is that what not to do when you are coming into EV sector?
I think I'll take off from where he kind of left it off, right? So I think there are different niches, different different segments that you can go at, right? The only segment to not go at is all the segments, right? As long as you're focused on a niche, you're focused on who your target segment is, what that segment requires. I think it's fine. If somebody is making a 2 lakh rupee motorcycle for the delivery market, it's not going to sell, right? So I think it's not possible for you to make one product that fits all, right? So
Exactly.
it's very important for you to kind of understand who your target audience is, what can they afford, what do they require, and then maybe model your product around that concept. So I think that's what is key.
Thank you. Mr. Fernandez, your last take on that?
I would say don't run after technology innovations. A lot of startups are always trying to bring in the latest technology innovation out there in the market. One example is, solid state batteries. Now, we don't need solid state batteries if we are looking at affordability segment. And if you look at battery chemistries, LFP is a well-established battery chemistry, very suitable for the Indian market, and it can cater to most of the needs of the market. So if you find a battery chemistry that works in the market at a price point that is feasible, I think don't look at what is next that is going to come out in the market. Just bring out a product with the right product market fit, with the technology that is available, that is supply chain is well established, rather than trying to bring out the very latest in technology.
So on this note, I would like to wrap up this session. You have a question? Okay, thank you. Thanks a lot. Can we have mic, please? Backstage, can we have mic, please? Yeah. There? That's there. Yeah.
Hi, my name is Rajat and I have over 10 years of experience working in the software industry. Previously, I have done predictive maintenance for one of the largest aircraft engine manufacturers in the world. And most recently, I was doing real-time stock market analysis for one of the largest fintech apps in India. So I just have one or rather couple of points maybe that I can add to the AI question that you have brought in. Because in the last 2 months or so, I've been speaking to a lot of EV fleets across India for my startup, which is called Indhan.ai, where we are building end-to-end fleet management solutions for EV fleets, right? So when I was speaking to these fleets, trying to understand what their challenges are, a few use cases came out that clearly demonstrated the power of AI and how it can solve in maintaining operational efficiency of these fleets. One which the panelists already mentioned is predictive maintenance. That is always there. But then apart from that, predictive charging is also something which has been upcoming, and EV fleets want, specifically 3-wheeler and 4-wheeler fleets, right? We are still trying to cater to 2-wheeler fleets, but we are optimizing our solutions for 2-wheelers. But another real problem that EV fleets have, right, which can be solved with AI, is basically identifying when a driver attrition is about to happen, right? Predicting what percentage of your drivers will show up on a particular week, or which are the drivers who are most at risk, right? So that you can either incentivize them or do something in order to make sure that utilization of vehicles is not left in a limbo. You can make sure that at least in some way or the other, you can essentially bring in drivers to cater to these use cases, right? So that's what we are trying to do. And there are a lot of other use cases that are still developing in this particular scenario. In the last 1 month, we have onboarded roughly 10,000 vehicles across India in 2020.
Sorry, but can you please keep your question short, concise, focused?
Yeah, right. So the question to the panelists are, what are the other use cases that you see in EV fleets that are actually affecting the top line that can possibly be solved with AI, right? Apart from this, are there any other points that you foresee?
Directed to some particular our speaker or anyone?
Perhaps maybe Sandeep can take this
Okay,
because
I guess the same. Sandeep, yeah.
So, three major problems. One is manpower. So, you mentioned that that's a huge problem. Typically, a manpower, a delivery agent sticks for 3 months
right.
with one fleet, right? That is very low. Gig workers are very unpredictable. So, if you can bring some kind of structure around it, that's great. Second thing is service. The biggest fleet company in the country, which is Zip Electric, they have almost 30 to 40% downtime in terms of the vehicles. And their biggest challenge is after sales service and maintenance. Now, a day a vehicle is down is a day's money lost.
Right.
Right?
Absolutely.
That's the second biggest. And third thing is obviously, the operational part of, ensuring you bring some science into the management. So the entire fleet geofencing, geotagging, management of the vehicle, predicting when the vehicle needs charging, how are the batteries managed very efficiently. I'll add a fourth dimension to it, which is end of life. Right now, these vehicles, a typical personal vehicle is used about 20 kilometers a day, average all India. A delivery vehicle is used about 100 kilometers a day. Right, so the wear and tear happens much more faster, which leads to the vehicle degradation, the battery degradation at the similar pace. Now, what happens after 2 or 3 years of rigorous usage of a vehicle? How do you reuse it, refurbish it, and how do you revitalize the battery? Right, that is going to be the fourth dimension, and I feel that is the challenge that we can solve.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you. Thanks a lot, our panelists. And you're again fantastic. And I would thank all of you to be here.